Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. Suckdown was so bad tonight. I know they did a few interesting things and they had a couple of interesting matches, but almost every single match ended in some sort of BS shenanigans. And then we had five guys, or a group of wrestlers, one of them obviously female, dressed up as Akira Tozawa's ninjas, none of them bigger than anybody from 205 Live, showing up and destroyed the SmackDown ring. They had chainsaws. They were cutting down ring ropes. What are you going to do with a broken ring rope? He's standing there. This is ours now. What are you going to do? You're going to play tug of war with the rest of the SmackDown roster in the back next week for control of the show? Oh, no, you're not going to do that because nobody on the SmackDown roster even gave a crap that any of this was going on. And we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Suckdown review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
I'm taking crazy pills!
Does anybody else feel that way? Because I certainly feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Is this really happening? Did this happen? Why are we supposed to care? About five people, we have no idea who they are. They're all a bunch of midgets in comparison to everybody else. And if the SmackDown roster doesn't give a shit that they're doing anything to their show, why are we supposed to give a crap? I see what they're trying to do. We've seen them do things similar to this. The last time I remember anything like this going down was when we seen the Nexus come. You guys remember seeing the Nexus show up and they all took over the ring and they were breaking stuff and they were choking out Justin Roberts and everybody was familiar with the five faces that we seen. It seemed interesting and it seemed cool, and the one most important thing is that we knew pretty much what they wanted. They wanted to take control of all of wrestling. They wanted to rid wrestling of John Cena and everything that he stood for. They attacked John Cena upon their debut. And what does Retribution do? They blow up a transistor or a generator in the back of Raw on Monday night with no explanation. And now here we go. On Friday, they're showing up again. Michael Cole's standing there like he knows who they are. Oh, is that Retribution? Because WWE had to reveal the name of this faction on social media. Who are the contacts on social media that are getting the name of this faction? Retribution. Where's my retribution for having to sit through this piece of crap episode of SmackDown? None of it makes sense. They're trying to be all chaotic and make the show end in a crazy way. But isn't this stupid faction supposed to be on Raw? Are we doing away with the brand split once again? Shouldn't it be one or the other, not both? There's so many things wrong with this situation. We have no idea who any of those people are, and that's fine. I understand you might want to build the mystery, want to build the intrigue, but man, are they going about it the wrong way. Showing five people acting like assholes, pretending to be a ninja world order. They're the new world order, dressed up as ninjas, none of them even half the size of any member of the actual New World Order. They're spray painting stuff, they're cutting down ring ropes, they're chasing Corey Graves away, and Braun Strowman is still trapped inside of Bray Wyatt's head, apparently. We'll get to that. Bray Wyatt's there as the Fiend. He don't give a shit because, you know, the Fiend lives in his own world and he don't care what's going on SmackDown. So we can forgive the two biggest guys on the show. But what about Heavy Machinery? What about Ms and John Morrison? What about everybody else that was on the show tonight? Sheamus, Constable King Dickhead, everybody else watched this happen. Or did they all get in their cars and hightail it out of the performance center being embarrassed from performing, that they didn't even care to stay till the end of the show? Sasha and Bayley, nothing. Nobody had any balls. Nobody gave a shit about protecting their show. Nobody cared that they destroyed the ring. So why are we supposed to care? As a fan, why should I care if the wrestlers themselves didn't even come out to make a stand, have some sort of a face-off, make it intriguing, take the mask off of at least one friggin' person, and get this ball rolling? I could squash every single member of this stupid Retribution faction. They're probably all about as tall as me. They don't look threatening. They look like a bunch of clowns, like a bunch of teenagers running around acting up. All hopped up on the molly, just running around acting like assholes. Not saying anything, but woo, yeah, we're here, this, that. Screaming nonsense. There is no message. There is no reasoning. And there is just no reason for any of us to care. I've already checked out with this Retribution thing. I don't care who's under the mask. What, are you suddenly going to have Dominic Dijakovic show up and this all of a sudden 7-foot tall man who was never involved in any of these things is going to be the leader of this faction, which everybody's talking about? Oh, it might be Donovan Dijakovic. Oh, it might be the Undisputed Era. All you people need to calm down. You know who it is? 5 jokers from 205 Live. Dressed up as Akira Tozawa's ninjas pretending to be the New World Order. And none of it feels genuine. It all feels desperate and just completely disinteresting. I don't care. They could have blew up the Performance Center for all I care. I actually would have preferred it. Maybe it would have stopped the WWE for a couple of weeks to reassess and get things right. Oh, everything was blown up by Retribution. We're going to take a week off. I'll be fine with that. This show was terrible. And that was how it went off the air. We still have no idea why, who, or what they're actually doing. And the only thing that was more chaotic than the way SmackDown ended tonight has got to be how it was backstage when they were writing this shit leading up to the start of today's show. You realize we had 2 Constable King dickhead matches tonight? 2! Back to back! And the jackass lost both of them. Because almost every single match tonight ended the exact same way. It was run-in night on Suckdown. Every single match almost featured a run-in except for one singles match. Everything else was practically the same finish. It started off not too bad. We started off Suckdown with a pretty decent match. The booking of the match I didn't think made much sense, but I was all in to see Matt Riddle fight Sheamus. These are 2 big hoss wrestlers. They are badasses and they're tough as nails, and I would love to see them go at it. I wish this was Matt Riddle's program. Instead of seeing Sheamus waste his time dressing up like a 1940s bouncer from a bar somewhere, I should have seen him wrestling Matt Riddle. We didn't need that whole thing with Jeff Hardy. Definitely not. We don't need anything at all with King Corbin. He could just go away, and I think SmackDown's value would increase by at least 50%. And it would at least make me not have to turn away. I don't give a shit about a Baron Corbin match. The only thing I care less than a Baron Corbin match about is the dirt sheet. Or should we call it the dirt shit? Because if any segment on this show is getting a poop hammer, it is most certainly the dirt shit. I watched this thing, and once again, I gotta go to Will Ferrell and ask you guys,
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
who the hell thought this up? Who thinks this is funny? The Ms and John Morrison are awful. And it goes way beyond the hey, ho, ho, bullshit, crazy-ass song that they did. Today we have them trying to be funny by talking to a mop that was supposed to be Mandy Rose's hair. Why do the Ms and John Morrison give a crap about what happened to Mandy Rose? Why? Why were they there last week mocking and ridiculing her after Sonia Deville's attack? Why does that... Oh, well, we need to have a reason for heavy machinery. No, you don't. No, you don't. Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose's thing should be Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose's thing. We don't need heavy machinery. You haven't needed them for 2 months. You had Otis win the Money in the Bank and you kept him on the shelf for months. God knows where Tucker has been. And all of a sudden we care about Heavy Machinery as a tag team? That we need to give them a foil in the Ms and Morrison, and we have to impose this ridiculously forced tag team feud onto something that actually has some meat to it and something that people are actually interested in? Mandy Rose and Sonia Deville being dragged down by the involvement of these 4 clowns. I don't like calling Heavy Machinery clowns. I happen to like them very much, but that's what the WWE wants you to think they are. Just another comedy act. Why else would they be involved with the Ms and John Morrison? Some of the most cringe-inducing shit I've ever watched in my life. And it made me turn off SmackDown again for the second week in a row. This time it wasn't Corbin's fault. It was the Ms and Morrison's fault. I turned the show off. You know what I did? I'll tell you what I did. I went and I logged into my Animal Crossing because Red was on my island. And I had to go buy a fucking painting before he left the island today. I went and I go research on the internet, make sure I didn't buy a fake one. I spent all my time doing that. That maybe took about 5-6 minutes. I finished that. I turned back to my TV and the whole segment was over. And I was like, thank God. Thank God. But then, as I'm reading the results, I see that I missed Sonia Deville's promo against Mandy Rose. I would have liked to have seen that, but I'm not going to sit through a dirt shit segment to have to see it. It should not be connected at all. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Let's go up and down for these matches because there wasn't too much going on. But Matt Riddle and Sheamus, as we mentioned previously before, was a great match. Until the finish. The finish came. Shorty G shows up. Causes chaos. Every single match, like I said, involving some sort of a run-in tonight. And then we had Sheamus almost getting the best of Matt Riddle. But Shorty G's involvement definitely cost him the match. And then afterwards, we got Sheamus all pissed off at Shorty G. I'm sitting here like, is Sheamus being turned after everything he just did, acting like a complete dipshit to Jeff Hardy? Are they going to try to turn him into a babyface? Is he transitioning? Is he going to be partners with Matt Riddle going up against Corbin and Gable? Like, because that doesn't make sense. And then we have Sheamus beating up on Chad Gable as if he was yesterday's garbage. Gable looked great last week in what he did to Matt Riddle. It didn't make sense for him to be joining Constable King Dickhead. But hey, let's go with it. And then we move to this week and they make him look like a jackass again. So everything they did to try to make you think, hey, maybe this is Shorty G's moment, they took it all away by having him completely dismantled by Sheamus after he cost him the match by a botched run-in. They treated him like a complete joke, and I did not appreciate it. Then we had Sheamus confronting King Corbin in the back. None of this made sense. Corbin's just like, he sent Shorty G out there to interfere in the match to get back at Matt Riddle. Sheamus is furious about it. Shorty cost him the match. Corbin wasn't backing down. And then this just kind of ended with two guys just being pissed off at each other. And I hated every minute of it. The dirt shit we talked about, I'm not talking about it again. Heavy Machinery came out at the end of this thing after Sonya got her words in. I missed the whole thing. Like I said, I was on my island in Animal Crossing. I didn't give a shit. I came back to see Cesaro going one-on-one with Lince Dorado, because instead of using Heavy Machinery here, where they belong, they're using the Lucha House Party. The Lucha House Party that nobody cares about. Lince Dorado, about half the size of Cesaro. This match wasn't all that bad. It was just pretty much useless. Because you knew, as soon as you seen Lince coming out there, that Cesaro was getting the win. Logic will tell you next week we will see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Gran Metalik, and Gran Metalik should get the win to make the teams even, because, 50-50 bookings, the way we do things, but we're not sure if that's the way it's actually going to go. WWE could make Shinsuke just beat Gran Metalik and then give the fucking World Tag Team Championship spot to the Lucha House Party anyway to go up against Cesaro and Shinsuke, even though they both lost. They both lost. We got SummerSlam knocking on the door, and nothing is being laid out. And whatever you can see, the directions that they're going in are just not interesting. Why am I supposed to care about Cesaro and Shinsuke versus the Lucha House Party when there's nobody else? Who else is there in the tag team division? Huh? Nobody. An absolute waste of everybody's time. Then, another nonsensical thing. The Fiend makes his way out to the ring. For some reason, Alexa Bliss is already sitting in the ring. Why is she there? That's where we seen her last week. I understand that. But he gave her the mandible claw. And now she's just following his orders. What, was she stuck in the ring somehow? Like, I don't understand the logic. They should have at least shown the Fiend tell her, go to the ring. Was she with him for the last 5 days? We don't know any of this. All I know is the lights were red, Alexa's in the ring, the Fiend is coming out, and she's just sitting there. Run, honey. What are you sitting there for? You deserve some fingers down your throat if you're just going to go out there and sit there for him. All to taunt and edge on the Brown Snowman, who apparently is still trapped in Bray Wyatt's swamp, which only exists inside Bray Wyatt's mind. But we were able to get a camera there tonight so that we could see Braun Strowman full screen in that kind of, you know, when you look through a door peephole, you know, and you see everybody's face all like wide and stretched. He looked like a clown. He looked like a big old brown clown. So stupid. And he's sitting there talking about how he's awoken the monster and he had a talk with the devil and all this ridiculous scripted jargon that probably almost definitely came right from the fingertips of Vince McMahon. This whole segment just went off the rails. It meant nothing. Another thing that didn't make any sense is 4 days ago, the Fiend had his hand down Alexa Bliss's throat. Today, Alexa Bliss is telling the Fiend no. The Fiend went to do it again and she was like, no. And she pushed his hand away. And then suddenly Braun was there in schnoz vision. Talking like this and being all threatening and telling Bray Wyatt he's coming for him. And the Fiend's just standing there, not doing anything to Alexa. The two of them are just standing in the ring listening to Braun Strowman now. And what did he have to say? Absolutely nothing. He's talking about how he's the evil one. He's the real monster. He's going to give the Fiend whatever he wants. But the one thing you need to take away from this that really just took all the wind out of the whole entire segment was Braun Strowman stood there with his giant face on screen and told Bray Wyatt, I don't care about Alexa Bliss. Sure, he could be lying, but by throwing that out there, you made everything that happened last week and everything that was currently happening tonight mean nothing. Because if Braun Strowman doesn't care about Alexa Bliss being abducted and attacked by the Fiend, why should we care? How many times have we seen somebody get attacked by the Fiend, get the mandible claw, and then like be gone for at least a week? You know, try to sell the injury, not show up so quickly following that. But Alexa Bliss can take it, and 4 days later, she's sitting in the ring, waiting for more. Maybe the fingers in the mouth are her thing. I don't know. I certainly don't think that's the case. Because she stopped him tonight. Alexa Bliss was able to stop the Fiend from attacking her again. What? Oh, well, this is going to be part of a larger story. Alexa and the Fiend are going to be married. And then I keep reading all this crazy shit. Right, and let me tell you something right now. The one thing we said last week that we don't need out of this is Alexa Bliss being paired with the Fiend or Alexa Bliss being paired with Braun Strowman. And it has nothing to do with Alexa Bliss. It has to do with the fact that this feud doesn't need anything more than to be a battle for the Universal Championship. And somebody please tell me and let me know when Braun Strowman escapes from the brain of Bray Wyatt. Because I still can't figure it out. But they were able to get... Maybe that's why he was in that weird schnoz vision where everything was all bulged up. I forget the technical term for it, but whatever. If you know it, leave it in the comments below. Help me out a little bit. Can't remember everything. It was a very strange segment. No explanation of how Bliss got in the ring. Everything was just very, very strange. And I did not enjoy it. Last week, how they ended intrigued me. The follow-up, 2 thumbs down. And I can't see it going anywhere that makes any sense. Jeff Hardy was the first to face Constable King Dickhead on this evening, and he gets the win thanks to the interference by Sheamus. Sheamus came out and gave a brogue kick to Matt Hardy just because. I thought he was all done with that, but, he's all pissed off at Corbin now. And Corbin's boy made him lose the match, so he's going to go out there and cost Corbin the match. So Baron Corbin loses once on this night. Corbin was furious about Sheamus' interference, so he follows it up with a match with Sheamus. Unadvertised, not really talked about. They just came back from commercial, and now we're having Sheamus versus King Corbin. And I was completely disinterested. This makes no sense. Sheamus, the evil heel who's been trying to embarrass Jeff Hardy. King Constable Dickhead Corbin, the evil heel that is ruining SmackDown and all of pro wrestling and is turning Chad Gable into a heel. But they're going to clash now, and we're supposed to care. Doesn't make sense. Don't you think these two guys should be teaming up against the common enemy? But no, all of a sudden Sheamus cares about wins? You didn't give a shit that you just were on your back like 4 times to Jeff Hardy over the last couple of months. Now all of a sudden you're caring about wins. Absolutely ridiculous. Corbin loses this match, and they're getting around it by saying, well, it wasn't his fault, because Matt Riddle came out once again to interfere. And now this is the 3rd time on this night we had a run-in interference. 3 matches, 3 of the exact same bookings for the finish. After this, we go to the back for Sasha and Bayley, doing their Sasha and Bayley thing. We're the golden role models, boss and hug. Standing there in the middle of the ring to have a video conference call with Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon wants you to go to the ring. We're going to have her live on the Titantron. Couldn't a video conference call happen in an office or backstage just by a TV? Why did they have to go out there to the ring? That's not where conference calls happen. That's where action is supposed to be happening. That's where fighting is supposed to be happening, not conference calls. The one good thing about this is this was not, at least for now, this was not the start of Stephanie McMahon getting involved in the women's division, which we could be very happy about. But this was her setting the table for SummerSlam, so to speak. She has Asuka fighting Bayley next week. And if Asuka wins, she gets a shot at Sasha Banks. We've seen them do this already. Just a few weeks ago, right? So we're just going to hit the repeat button on that and do that whole entire angle over again. But they did come up with one little interesting nugget. And to determine the challenger for the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley at SummerSlam, we're going to go cross brands. We're going to have all 3 brands. Blands is good. We can call them blands because even NXT is as bland as shit right now. Yeah, Pat McAfee versus Adam Cole at NXT 30. And tell me it's not. Please, give me a break. So, all 3 blands of this company are going to have their women show up in a battle royal next week. And the winner's going to face Bayley at SummerSlam. Now, I can't really fault them for this because you only have, 4 other women on SmackDown, and you've made all of them look like pieces of trash who nobody wants to see bam, bam in that match. But she's going to be in the match. Hopefully she doesn't win the match because that's the last thing we need is another Lacey Evans run. And then you start seeing all the girls from NXT. You got Mia Yim looking to jump in there. You got Rhea Ripley tweeting eyeballs and shit like that. Oh, look what I can do. I can be part of this match too. Great. We'll have to wait and see who wins. But once again, this is desperation, and it is just an illustration of how broken the women's division is, because if they actually gave a shit about the women's division, each brand would have their women, they would be wrestling week in and week out, earning their ways to opportunities that don't have to come down to just a random battle royal on a Smackdown to see, well, let's just give a shot to anybody. Let's put 30 women in a ring and give a shot to anybody. Shotzi Blackheart could win. Anybody can win. Is that how you want to find your number one contender? But can you blame them? What other choice do they have? They haven't built any stars. And the only two females outside of Sasha and Bayley right now with any sort of steam behind them on the main roster is Mandy and Sonya. And look at what they've already been doing to them. Absolutely ridiculous. We had an interview with Big E in the back. Kayla Braxton's talking to Big E. And Big E is still acting like a jerk. And don't take that the wrong way. I'm just tired of the New Day's antics. And if the New Day is not all there, he doesn't have to be a one-man representation of the New Day. He can keep some of his humor. He's a funny guy and he makes me laugh. But much like we say about many of the other talents that have been put in the jokey category, you have to be taken seriously, at least just a little bit. You want to run at the Intercontinental Championship, you want to run at the Universal Championship or the World Championship, you can't be a clown all the time. You can't. You should cut at least one serious promo. Give props to your brothers. I love Kofi. I love Xavier, and they gave me their blessing. And I will always love the New Day. The New Day's in my blood. I got pancakes and unicorns and bullshit all over me. But the time for all that has passed. And I'm going to kick some ass now. They call me Big E for a reason. It's not just because of my big personality and my big sense of humor. It's because of my big ass muscles, and I'm going to punch you in your mouth. And I'm going to take what's yours. And then I'm going to celebrate with my brothers with a big dish of pancakes in the back. But if you're serious, it means more. I don't want to see you back there with Kayla Braxton. Yeah, yeah. It's not a comedy. You should not be a comedy. You've been a comedy for too long. It's time to shake things up a little bit. And the run of Big E has started somewhat in a very underwhelming fashion. He went out there last week and had a knockdown drag him out with The Miz, which should have been a 5-minute destruction of The Miz, where he got way too much offense in on Big E throughout the entirety of the match, to Big E not even having a match at all tonight, so that he could go in the back with Kayla Braxton and say, yeah, 100 times. He's ready to see what he can do in singles competition. So are the rest of us. But the first thing you gotta do is tone down that shit. Tone down the New Day. You don't have to take it away, but tone it down. And flex a little bit, bro. Show the world that you are serious. Make a serious face. Serious. Do it, please. Heavy Machinery versus the Ms and John Morrison with Sonia Deville. Not a awful tag team match by any means, but the finish was, because they just, this finish really pisses me off. We've seen this on Monday with Sasha and Shayna Baszler. We had Bayley on the outside as usual. Asuka comes out, starts kicking the shit out of Bayley, and they disqualify the girls in the match. And this is what happens here. Heavy Machinery is fighting the Ms and John Morrison. And at the end, they have Sonia Deville with them. Why? Why is she coming out with them? Is she their valet now? I thought she was a women's competitor. I thought she was a wrestler on her own merit. Just because they were involved in this segment earlier doesn't mean she has to be riding their coattails to the ring. And that just makes it even more predictable. You know Mandy Rose is going to come out. Which she did. She came out dressed like a soccer mom with her new little AJ Styles inspired soccer mom haircut. She looked pretty damn good, as she usually does. She doesn't look ugly. Sonya Deville didn't make her look ugly. Sonya Deville right now lost in that battle. But none of this should be taking place with these guys around. The focus should be purely and centered on the women. in this scenario. Maybe one of them will actually get over. But instead, you got Mandy coming out, fighting Sonia Deville on the outside. Never did they get into the ring. Never did they cross paths with any of the men that were actually involved in the match. And they threw out the match. Disqualification. Your manager's being attacked by somebody from the back. This match can't go on. What is this booking? And now you did it twice in a week. This is not how you book wrestling. That finish makes no sense. Absolutely none. It makes just about as much sense as the end of this show. Because all of a sudden, as Mandy Rose and Deville are arguing in the back, the lights go out. And Retribution strikes. And the cameraman wants to give us all a seizure. Because these guys think that because there's chaos happening, we have to shake the camera like friggin' lunatics. They're not an earthquake, right? The ground's not shaking because of 5 half-size people acting like fools. All right? What's with all the shaking? Steadicam it. You're right there. Just hold focus on the action. They're not coming after you. Not in the hard cam anyway. I don't understand what the shaking's about. Sure, when they knock the one cameraman down, you're going to get shaken because they knocked the camera out of the guy's hand. That's understandable. But when you're doing a focus shot and you're trying to let us see the chaos that's happening, you should actually let us see the chaos that's happening and not trying to trigger a seizure reaction. They sprayed the mats. They sprayed the aprons with spray paint, but they didn't even write anything. They didn't write Retribution. They didn't do anything of it. They just scratched out the Smackdown. Oh, let's just cross the word out. Listen, I've tried. Crossing the word out doesn't make the show not exist. I've tried it many times on my nose. Maybe if I scribble out Smackdown really hard, it won't show back up next week. One jackass had a chainsaw, as we talked about. He's cutting the ring ropes. These guys are all celebrating all over. Corey Graves ran away. Cameramen are running away. The performance center students in the crowd are running away because they got no balls either. Eric Bugenhagen standing in there. He's 3 times the size of half of these guys. But nobody cared. Nobody came out to defend the WWE. Nobody came out to confront the 5 Ninja World Order midgets. Nothing. It was chaotic. Yes. But was it good? No. Absolutely not. I don't even care where it goes from here. It doesn't matter who's under those hoods. They're already dead. They're already dead. They are whack. Talk about Smackdown and we call it Suckdown. This is Whackdown. Whacktown. Think of something else you can call it because it's just not WWE Smackdown. Back in the day, this was The Rock show. It was awesome. Great television. The Undertaker, John Cena made his name on SmackDown, and I wasn't ever a big Cena fan, but at least it was good, and you had guys like Edge around as his foil. You had Eddie Guerrero. You had Rey Mysterio in his prime. We had JBL, who was one of the worst champions ever, but got over a lot of guys. Mostly John Cena. What happened to wrestling? They're so worried about spiking the rating that they're not focusing on creating stars. And that's the problem. You can't get behind a group of guys and gals if you don't even know who they are. And when their presence is not that imposing and not that threatening, I find it hard to believe that a roster of pro wrestlers would not go out there and beat the crap out of a bunch of fans dressed up as ninjas. Because that's what this faction looks like. It looks like you and me and a couple of our guys and one girlfriend all put on ski masks and jump the Performance Center with nobody defending. That's the biggest take. I mean, I just can't even believe it. At the very least, have one guy out there, like you did with the Nexus. Should have had Braun Strowman out there, cutting his promo on the Fiend. Not from Schnoz Vision in the middle of Bray Wyatt's head. And then these guys hit the ring. The 5 of them attack Braun Strowman and they take the big man down. Now you have a reason to be scared of Retribution. What am I scared of? You going to bring a chainsaw to every match? Fuck out of here. This show continues to be the worst wrestling show on all of television. Anything with the letters WWE in front of it right now stands for worst wrestling ever. This was some of the weakest and wildest shit ever produced, and I hope it blows up in their face, because it's not good. It is not good. It was a test of our patience once again, and while some of the wrestling was decent, terrible finishes and terrible creative for the entertainment side of things and Retribution just ruined everything. And now I want my retribution for having to sit through it. Thank you guys all so very much. That's all we got for you tonight. Don't forget, if you haven't already, I know some of you guys got them already, and you probably look fantastic in them. It's the official Sledgehammer Wrestling Show face mask, now available at teespring.com/stores/sledgehammer-TV. And thank you so much to all of you that have already purchased this thing. I wasn't expecting you guys to really jump on this, but you did, and I love you for it. Whoever got their masks, some of you guys got your masks this week, and you messaged me about it. You've seen some of it in the comment section on other videos. Guys are talking about it. Send me a picture. Send me a picture if you can. You want a shout out on the show, send me a shot, whether you do it on Twitter, tag me on your picture on Instagram, use the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, hashtag use Nick Nightmare, hashtag however you want to get it at me. If you could put it in the comments section, do that. I want to see my sledgeheads in their sledge gear, and I will put you guys on this show. I promise. But don't forget, even if you don't have one, you can still get one. Teespring.com/sledgehammer-TV, and that applies to you too. Anybody that picks up one of these beautiful masks in one of these 3 awesome colors, get that picture to me, and you will be shouted out on this show. Thank you all so very much for being with me and for supporting the show however you can. If you can't buy a mask, because I know some of you guys are tight in the pocket right now, and maybe things will be getting back to normal real soon, the best way you can support the show is to be a subscriber. So hit that subscribe button right now if you enjoyed yourself here today, if it made you laugh, if it made you cry, if it made you understand why Smackdown was such a suck down as it usually is. You deserve to be a sledgehead, and you should be subscribed. So make sure you do that and hit that notification bell and turn on all notifications so that you don't miss any time we bring the hammer down on a WWE program. And then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world. And most importantly, smash that thumbs up so that YouTube knows this video is good and it will push it, and we can get more and more and more sledgeheads to join the cause. Because we are building this army, and it's slow going, but it's steady, and I'll take that. Slow and steady wins the race, and I welcome each and every one of you, and thank you all for being on this journey with me. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. If you missed anything on this channel this week, it'll be linked in the annotations up above, whether it's my drawing of Alexa Bliss, drawing The Undertaker, drawing Bray Wyatt, or our reviews of SmackDown, Raw, well, this is SmackDown, but Raw, and the pay-per-views that we've had in the last couple of weeks. Everything right here for you guys. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here. And we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Bang.